present here, including Mr. Anil Sharma. He is the principal of our Nainital School, Birla Vidya Mandir. Mr. Sharma, a warm welcome, and I'm sure your teachers are also here.
Yes, yes.
So thank you so much for joining, for visiting our school virtually. We have a very eminent personality with us today, and you can say he's my favorite. And more than his CV, which is such a strong one, and I read out his CV on personal
मीनाक्षी जी,
front.
आपने कह दिया ही इज माय फेवरेट, उसके बाद कौन से सीवी की जरूरत है? तो वो रहने दीजिए.
नहीं sir, there have been times when you were not in India, you were traveling, and there was a time when you were just getting into your aircraft. You were in Australia, and you said कि मीनाक्षी जी मैं बस प्लेन में गेट पे हूँ, जाने वाला हूँ, कुछ बहुत अर्जेंट है तो बताइए, मैं बता देता हूँ. I mean, you've been such a big help always, you know, and whenever I need some suggestion or some guidance, it's always that Dr. Pandey ka number
pleasure.
or solution mil gaya. So thank you so much for all that humility and guidance that I have received from you. And telling others about you is Dr. Ashok Pandey holds post-graduation in physics, consultancy management and education. He is currently the director of Alcon Group of Schools in Delhi, and he has served as the chairperson of NPSC also. He has authored several articles, projects, research papers, and educational travelogues. And I'm sure everyone reads something about you, some article about you, from you in the newspapers at least 4, 5, 6 times in a year, I would say, minimum. You've authored several books, and I have personally read your pedagogical life essays in educating India, and also the principal leadership that was published last year. They are treasures and a must read for everyone. You are the recipient of the Lifetime Achievement Award by the Ferguson Humanitarian Foundation International, Advait Foundation Leadership Award, and the President's Award for his contribution in education. You have a very keen interest in quality education, teachers' professional development, and sustainable development goals. Actively engaged in interfaith dialogue and peace building. You are an active partner for the UN's Act for SDGs and Teach SDGs ambassador. You've widely traveled all over the world, and you've participated in the Global Peace Convention held in Seoul in 2019, UN Festival for Action on SDGs held in Bonn in 2018, and Indo-Australian Dialogue Melbourne in 2017. You're a thought leader, Mr. Pandey, and you take speaking assignments on global citizenship education and teacher development from across the world. And you were also the visiting faculty last year when I was at IIM Ahmedabad.
That you have added, I think. Huh?
Yes, yes. So you were there, and the session was just too good. So thank you so much. And without wasting your time, I know you have a back-to-back another session. So I would request you to take the session on systems shift, teachers to reboot for 21st century learning. Over to Dr. Pandey, and guide us, teach us, and actually take us forward.
Thank you, Meenakshi ji, for your courtesies and kindness. Thank you, Anil ji, for joining us along with your faculty members and also the members of entire Birla School family. I'm absolutely delighted. May I request you all to switch on your video for a second so that I can see a whole lot of people there. I only see some images, and so let me see, you know, because that gives me a lot of feeling, emotional, energizing feeling that I'm talking to people who are of the same tribe as me, because, you know, meeting the teaching community, even if it is virtual, it is absolutely delightful, let me tell you. And since I have to convey my personal compliments and appreciation to you for the great work that you are doing, I thought that it will be a little bit of face-to-face will be more meaningful. You know, when we entered into this pandemic era, as we call it, I think the three things were troubling the world. One was the health issue, the other was the economy and livelihood issue, and the third was educational issues. And you should be very proud of the fact that the response to the educational needs of the children was the fastest in comparison to health and livelihood issues. And that is why I compliment you, I salute you. And for the past 6 months, I have left no stage without mentioning what a great work all of you have done. So congratulations. The second thing that I wanted to share with you, till 5 minutes, 10 minutes before you are having your classes, and then suddenly you had to rush to the Zoom room to attend this class. So I'm sure you are a little bit hassled. You might be wondering, what is this? Why it is necessary? Why it is so much that Meenakshi ji is very, very anxious to put us into a room for some kind of a talk. Well, my apology if it is hassling, but the whole idea is that we should take it as a blessing in disguise, that all of us can come together at least on a virtual platform, and smile a bit, say hello, hi, you know, wave off your hands. So all of you, can you wave off your hands, please? Come on, do like this, all of you. Yes, okay. And now clap without making noise, okay? Clap without making noise. Now clap like this, okay? Now you are clapping like a scout. This was for someone you don't like, okay? All right. So thank you very much. Now please use the chat box and write your favorite color quickly. Meenakshi ji, please see which color is winning. Please write in the chat box your favorite color. You can see the chat box. Please write what happened. Nothing has come. Okay, I have written mine.
Pink,
okay,
blue.
Come on, write fast.
Yeah, pink, blue.
Yeah, come on, go fast.
Yellow.
Yeah, green.
Only 4 have typed pink, blue, yellow.
Yeah, what is the, my God, 125 people and only 5
Red.
people have responded. It means you are tired.
Green.
This test was to check how energetic you are. So
Black.
your energy level is at its lowest.
Red. Black.
Meenakshi ji,
Yes, sir.
इसको postpone करते हैं आज का session.
नहीं नहीं सर, बिल्कुल नहीं. सब लोग उठ के
Energy level
चलो
नहीं है ना?
जॉगिंग करो.
मैं energize नहीं हो पा रहा हूँ अभी तक.
No. Quick answer.
Come
It's
on.
not easy to get Dr. Pandey. He is very busy. आज गए तो पता नहीं कब मिलेंगे.
Come on, अभी जब तक 100 लोगों का response नहीं आएगा next 1 minute में, I will not start. And
come on, the challenge is, it's a challenge.
100 responses in next 1 minute.
Ma'am, the responses are many, but they are coming to me as a host, but not as a co-host.
Ah, okay. Why is that?
Why is that, Mona? क्या cheating करी हुई है?
No, ma'am. You're the co-host, that's why.
अच्छा, we are the co-hosts, she's saying, that is why.
No, I will suggest, could you please, when you are writing, you click there where 2 is written.
Yes.
And then you will get to the options that to everybody. Then
To
you type so
everybody.
everybody can see.
Huh.
Right now it is going privately to the
Privately.
host.
Huh.
I think that is the reason. Oh, I was surprised myself.
I was
Just
surprised.
Yes, it's done. It's done.
Just click and you will find everyone
Yes.
in the meeting, then you will get it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
there you are.
Because
Okay,
my
so I'm going to
BBN
start.
staff is very proactive.
Yeah,
They make me dance the whole day.
yeah. So just give me a second. I'm sharing
Yes.
my screen now.
Right.
I think some people are still in the waiting room, and somebody who is managing it, please admit them. All right. So system shift, teacher reboot to 21st century learning. If you listen to Prime Minister today, he addressed the nation, and I was glad that the Prime Minister of the country talked about everything that all of you talk about on a daily basis. So he talked about 21st century, he talked about holistic education, he talked about art education, he talked about curiosity, and he talked about everything that a 21st century teacher should talk about. So I will now come to this teaching and learning vision for the 21st century. What does it mean? The first thing is that every child should be in the school. It is not only about your school or my school, it is about every child in the world, right? They should be in the school. There should be a very strong foundation skill. We must foster global citizenship. Learning has to be personalized. Mastery learning, or what we call competency-based learning, which even Prime Minister also talked about today. Experiential learning and technology integration. So this is the bouquet of wish list, or a bucket list, you can say, for the education today, for the children. And what are the expectations, teaching and learning expectations that we have? Learning to learn, it is also known as learning to know. Adaptability, which means learning to be, embrace change, learn new skills, push to action. So we must be action oriented. So learning to do is very, very important, and learning to live together, because that is the ultimate, So learning to learn, learning to be, learning to do, and learning to live together is the United Nations, or more particularly UNESCO's wish list for the entire world community, that our 21st century learning should revolve around these 4 pillars. They are also known as pillars of 21st century education. So if somebody says that learning to know has become very, very important, and that is why teachers are advised these days that don't teach them what to think, teach them how to think, right? How to become a good citizen, how to become a good human being, how to become helpful, how to become kind, how to become forgiving. That is gaining ground. Skill-based education, nothing is lower, nothing is higher, and anything which is done for the benefit of another human being, to uplift that human being, then it is an excellent job. So that is why no job can be categorized into hierarchies. Every job aimed at uplifting somebody in his or her living is something that is dignified, and we must respect that. And learning to live together, who will not agree with this? And therefore, I come to this, that what kind of shift is required, which is the topic of discussion today. So the shift is, I have taken only 4 parameters of shift. So let us say teacher, and what was the teacher before 21st century or 20th century, 19th century? Teacher as a broadcaster, teacher as coming and lecturing, teacher as coming and making us all listen to him or her. Pedagogy, again, lecturing pedagogy, one size fit all, catering to the average student. It did not cater to differential needs of the students. Classroom, same group of children, same teaching, same duration, same examination, same standards of pass and fail. And learners' experience was more like a stimulus response learning. So we give a stimulus, children pick it up, and then they show it in their copies in the examination. And now that shift has to take place like this. So the teacher has to be enabler, as all of you know. We have to acknowledge that there are many sources of knowledge. There are open sources, social media, videos, expert talks, YouTube, TED Talks, whatnot. And therefore, we are not the sole repository of knowledge. The pedagogy has to be such that we create a resource bank of educational innovations. We raise curiosity, role plays, encouraging, questioning, co-designing the activities together with the children, and teachers become a catalyst for capacity building of the students and speeding up their learning. So that is the shift that we are looking forward to. And the classrooms will acknowledge diversity. Every child is unique, we always say it. But what are those uniquenesses of the children? Their socioeconomic background, their linguistic background, their cognitive background, their ability to comprehend, their learning barriers. I think as teachers, we have to understand it. Then only we'll be able to elicit those responses from them that we require, and they will develop love and self-development. So that is very, very important. And a stimulus response model has to change to learning by meeting the challenges. So we challenge the children with problems. They experience excitement, fun, their own knowledge. So these are the 4 parameters, and this is the shift that you all have started realizing it. It is not that I'm saying something new. If anybody is teaching for 5 years also, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, I think these shifts are coming to us, and we are seeing the writing on the wall, and we are also adjusting to it. If we are not adjusting to it, then probably we may face some problem. So now we come to this. There are 6 elements of 21st century learning. What are those 6 elements? That we have to emphasize on the core learning, core subjects. Learning skills we have to find out, and teach and learn in the 21st century context. And tools we have to develop which are contextualized in 21st century learning. And our assessment also had to be in the context of this, which means that, a long syllabus, a long curriculum, a whole lot of subjects, that has not served the purpose. And it has also overloaded us with so much of attention to complete the syllabus and curriculum and examination that we have had hardly any time to unload ourselves and free us to devote to the personal needs of the children and to make their learning holistic, experiential, fun, and participative. And that is why 21st century learning is talking about lean syllabus, and right, this new education policy has acknowledged it. So one, load shedding you have already seen in the context of Corona, which the CBSE did, but please do not confuse it with the policy now in NEP 2020 that the curriculum is to be trimmed. It is to be made lean so that the curriculum does not occupy the entire space of teaching and learning in our schools. So that is the defining principle of 21st century learning. And I have just quoted here to make this point even more clearer. The aim of education should be to teach us rather how to think, as I said, than what to think. To improve our minds so as to enable us to think for ourselves than to load the memory with thoughts of other people. You see? So this self-realization, self-awareness, bringing the self-improvement, self-development as a core value of educational process is something that we are going to talk about now. That is something very, very important. And therefore, As a teacher, if we acknowledge what are the 21st century requirements, what are the 21st century skills, and then how to prepare the children for the 21st century. That is where the role of the teacher comes in. And therefore, we have to find out through our own discussions, through our collaborative teaching and learning practices, through our professional development, through our own learning, that what are the standards and expectations of learning? What are the pedagogical designs? How the classroom challenges can be discovered? How we can encourage the students to lead the learning, what we call self-directed learning. How to encourage collaboration among the students, and how to develop critical thinking, and how to encourage creativity. I think these are the needs of 21st century. Three things are very, very important here. First, one is 4 C's, as we call it. I'm sure you must have come across this. So critical thinking, collaboration, communication, and creativity. That is called the learning innovation. The second is information, digital and media skills, the technological skills, how to express technologically, how to collaborate technologically, how to communicate technologically. That is very, very important. And the third is life and career skills. So we have to facilitate the children on all these 3 dimensions, which I will take one by one in a very short while from now. And now I'm just giving you a historical background to put everything into perspective. John F. Kennedy, you must have heard, and he was addressing the students in a college in 1963. So you just imagine about 60 or odd years before. And he asked 3 questions to the students, to the teaching community, to the civic society. And his first question was, does every American child today, that is in 1963, have a fair educational opportunity? That was his first question. The second question he asked was, does our system effectively educate our boys and girls to meet the needs and problems of our contemporary society? 1963. And what of the future? Even if we are meeting these 2, how we are preparing our children for the future? That was in 1963 in America. And you will now be surprised to see what I'm going to show you next. Year 2020, educational policy. Now see what educational policy says in response to those 3 things. In the context of India, the nation must provide education to all students irrespective of their background. Do you see the similarity between this and the first question? Does every American child today have a fair educational opportunity? And what do we say here? The nation must provide education to all students irrespective of their background. Second, access to highest quality education to all learners regardless of their circumstances, and lifelong learning. That is the promise of this policy. And the third one, if you remember here, what of the future? Kennedy asked in 1963. The NEP promises in 2020, the future of India and its people will depend on the extent to which high quality educational opportunities are presented to them. So, this is a universal vision. Every head of a state or a government, and when I say government, it is the collective will of the people. It is the collective will of the contemporary societies that form the nation. So this is the defining vision of NEP, and all of us have to be contributory to it. We have to be participatory to it. And therefore, let us come to 21st century. And I have raised this question for you here. We are talking of 21st century, but 20 years have already gone in the 21st century. And just imagine a thought experiment in your mind. To achieve the vision, something needs to be done urgently. Can we afford to wait for another 30 years to plan for the 31st century? That time it will be 2050. So we are already a bit too late. And therefore, we should not waste more time in understanding the policy, understanding the needs, understanding our responsibilities, and putting it into practice on the ground as early as possible. So you just have this thought experiment, and you will like it. A child born today, or imagine in March 2021, the children who will come to our schools, most likely they will enter their life and workforce by 2050. Okay? By that time, half of the century will be gone. By the time they come to the workforce. The child, if the life expectancies are increasing, the child has, most of them have greater chances to live for another 50 years, and they will enter into 22nd century. So you just imagine our children in the next 50 years, 30 years, then another 50, 30 years. And therefore the question is, what will that future be for which we have to develop our education system? So one policy has come today. This policy has a shelf life of 30 years. And let me tell you why I say 30 years. 10 years we will take in implementing it. 10 years we will reap the benefits out of it. And we will take 10 years to plan for the next policy. So it will run its course for another 10 years. So 30 years of life cycle this policy has, which means by 2050, and the world would have changed again. And therefore, we have to factor in those things also as progressive, thoughtful, visionary teachers as to what will that future be for which we have to develop our education system. Because education is the password to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. So we have to prepare it today, and it is in our own hands. And that is why this challenge that I'm posing to all of you, and just moving to that. And for that, as I said, the topic is that we have to reboot ourselves. Now, those who are familiar with rebooting as a concept in computer sciences or software, why reboot is required. Rebooting is required when the system starts functioning in a sluggish manner. This is number one. Rebooting is required when we start facing hurdles in the smooth functioning. And rebooting is also required if the interface between the hardware and the output to the beneficiaries are not matching, because the operating system, interacts with the hardware and gives an output for the beneficiaries. As education system, our hardware is the learning, the curriculum, the assessment, the pedagogy, the students, parents, their background, and we have to process it, and then we have to bring out the result, and the result is preparing them for future. So what kind of rebooting is required? For that, I'm suggesting two strategies for now. One strategy is called MIT. I will explain to it, but I will ask if some people can guess what is MIT, but it is certainly not Massachusetts Institute of Technology, right? It is something else. So I am saying the elements of MIT strategy are: cultivate moral imagination, use intuition and foresight, develop grit, believe in your students, be vision and possibility driven, see the possibilities and potentials, foster student agency, they unlock their potential, and embrace new technologies. So if these are the elements, can anybody write, I think chat box, if you can use it, or just guess it, what is MIT? Can anybody unmute and say something? MIT, any guesses? Please unmute and tell me what could be MIT. Anyone?
Meghna, you can unmute yourself.
Yeah, anybody.
Writing in the chat box.
Yeah. Anyone? MIT. M, I'm sure you must be, it is given in the first only. M for moral.
Moral, intuitive, technological technique.
So Meenakshi, you are 90% correct. So
No, it's
moral.
not me. I'm reading out from the chat box. This Deepa
Okay.
N and Meghna have written this.
Great. So it is moral, innovative, and technology strategy. So we have to be moral, innovative, technology leaders to reboot ourselves. So what is our moral responsibility towards our students? How innovative we could be and how we could embrace new technologies apart from what we have done so far, and that will decide how useful or how rebooted we are to fulfill the needs of our students. And the second one is CII strategy. And you will have to guess what is CII. So you have to be good in decision making, critical thinking, inventive thinking, and information management skills. So we have to be creative solution finders. So we have to be creative as teachers as to how to deal with the needs and aspirations of these students. The second is, what are our core values? What are those values we are not going to negotiate? How we cross cultural skills? How do we interact with the people who are different from us? How do you embrace diversity and differences? How globally aware we are, what is happening in the world? How socially aware we are, what is happening around in our social? And we have to be a character role models. An interpersonal skill is relationship management, communication, collaboration, and how well we can manage our relationship. That will decide how rebooted we are. So CII, I'm sure you have guessed it. It is cognitive, intrapersonal, and interpersonal leadership. And this, the beauty with these two strategies is MIT and CII, that this has to be the culture of the whole organization. Everybody in the organization has to follow it. Everybody has to be cognitively very smart. Everybody's intrapersonal and interpersonal skills have to be very, very smart. Everybody has to put moral principles ahead of everything. We have to use our foresights. We have to develop grit and resilience. And since we are dealing with the students, fostering their agencies, teachers fostering agencies of each other, teachers collaborating and complementing each other, and coming to the help of each other. That should become the culture of the organization. And therefore, this MIT and CII strategy together will bring in what we call the most important rebooting exercises. And for that, the action that we have to take is, we have to continuously engage ourselves in the professional growth. And the new education policy also talks about it, that they are going to put a lot of premium on the continuous professional growth. And continuous professional growth, I have 5 dimensions of it. And I'll explain to you what each dimension means. Number one, the top management must profess and must execute and must follow it, that they believe in the professional development of the teachers. And that happens most of the time. The leadership driven. So leadership, one leadership is of the entire school, the principal. The other leadership is your departmental leadership, your section leadership, your head of department, coordinator, so everybody should drive it. If nothing else, the head of department of physics, for example, should sit down with 4 or 5 teachers in the department and take the science teachers also from the junior classes and have a workshop for you. You invite somebody from outside on your own initiative. Just request the principal to give you permission and you have to do it. The second is self-driven. Now this pandemic era has suggested to us what enormous opportunities are available for self-development. So self-driven, that you see an opportunity, you log in, you enroll yourself, You do a 1 week course, 4 weeks courses, attend a webinar or whatever it is, and you see what enormous change comes in you as a result of these interactions. And the fourth is opportunity driven. I'll tell you what is the difference between self-driven and opportunity driven. Of course, all opportunity driven are self-driven, but all self-driven are not opportunity driven also, in the sense that sometimes some opportunities come and we just miss it, you know. So you miss your important mail, you miss an important WhatsApp group message, you miss an important opportunity given by the management. No, I'm busy, my family commitments and this and that, and you miss that opportunity. So sometimes we get an opportunity. We have seen in our life that how seizing the opportunity, say for example, 5 people are nominated, then how you pitch yourself that you become the first choice of nomination, that will come under the category of opportunity driven. And the fifth one is that as teachers, we have to understand that our whatever investment we do in ourselves will be a long time asset formation for the society, for the school, for the children, and thereby for the society. So these are the 5 opportunities that I have listed here, and you start applying this. Of course, the management will do its own part, but the last 3 are yours: self-driven, opportunity-driven, and long-term asset formation as your own intuition, as your own thought process, as your own core value system. And then we will see how quickly you are able to do that. And now I come to this, I said, career and life skills, you know, because ultimately we have to help the children. And every teacher has some influencing power on the abilities of the children. You know, there is a researcher called John Hattie in Australia, and they have developed a list of 200 things which influence students' learning. And they have found out that how each influencer, how much it influences. And they have a maximum size of 2. And their research suggests that the teacher efficacy and the collective efficacy of teachers, so how useful you are, how helpful you are, how mentoring you are, how you are going to help the children build their careers, their future, that is called your efficacy. And the collective efficacy of the entire organizational culture is called teacher efficacy, CTE. And in his research, CTE is the greatest influencer on the child's learning. This is a research that I'm quoting to you. And therefore, all of us should start that this is how I'm going to make a difference in the lives of few children. And for that, please follow this 6-point agenda that I have given. Define the vision and inspiration for the children. Give them a value system, the skills you are giving them. They should assess and diagnose their own capabilities, their interests. They should do a reality check so that they are not over ambitious and they are not under ambitious also. And then every teacher could be a counselor for the children. You can be a mentor for them. You know, you could be a lifelong, a moral authority on the decisions that they take, and they come and check with you. That is called professional intervention. And technology is also going to support us in a big way. And the question that we should ask the children is, what interests you? What makes you happy? What inspires you? Who are the kind of people you want to work with? You know, what are your values with technology? Because everything in future is going to be technology driven. And technology has no value of its own. It is only the human beings that attach value to technology. So how transformative that technology is, how mindful and responsible we are in using the technology, I think that education should also become part of our curricula in one way or the other. And then the entire process of career building is for the good of society. So we take up a job, we train ourselves, we develop passion, we love it, and then we start thinking about the society. So as a career maker, how we are going to contribute to the society's sustainability. I think that should be the ultimate aim of all teachers and all learners. So this is a 6-point approach to career and life planning. And this is my last slide, which is very reflective in nature. And if all of you can have a look, 1 minute or 2 minutes of look on it, that education, if you see the first point in the center of the slide is, education is an opportunity for everybody. And this opportunity should be available to all. If this opportunity was not available to us, we would not have been in this position, and we know it. As educator, I know after 30, 35 years that how much education matters for those who got education and how much it matters to those who did not get education. So therefore, this opportunity should not be denied to anybody. The second one is there should be no discrimination in this. So only two things are there: the gender norms, the other diversities, what are the societal values. We must take care of that and include everybody in that opportunity. The third is, this can only be done by great institutions. So the great institutions, the government has to come forward, the private sector has to come forward, individual efforts have to come, and the philanthropists have to come, like your own organization. And then only we can create strong institutions to include everybody. So I have come up to the third point. You see, the third point, institutions will include everybody, will give educational opportunities to everybody, but there are two more caveats to it. Institutions must be supported by the law, the regulation, and the policies, and it should not become an hindrance to everybody. So that is also very, very important. And education policy is one of those enablers that we must know what is the direction in which the country wants to go. And there are many laws which may favor the institutions, many may not favor. And of course, there should be a societal pressure that the institutions, particularly educational, must work in an atmosphere where there is no fear, no anxiety, and no unnecessarily burden of attending to those things which are not required. So that is also very, very important. And therefore, and we have to develop systems through collaboration, through clustering, through our individual efforts. We create a good environment, we learn good practices, we develop good resources through these collaborative processes. If these 5 things are ensured, then we will come to the outcome, which is 6, which is economic and employment opportunities for everybody, political participation and leadership opportunity for everybody, and above all, in my opinion, health and well-being is the greatest concern, and that could also be ensured. So you can go backward also, that to achieve these outcomes given under 6, what should be the system? What should be the enabler? Who will do it? Who will be included in it? And that will result into an educational opportunity for everybody. So that is what we have to do. And therefore, I conclude by saying that education is simply the soul of a society as it passes from one generation to the other. And that is the conclusion of any education system, and any teacher who is conscious of his or her duties and rebooting herself constantly to be adaptive to the emerging needs will always keep this thing in mind, that what I am doing is that I am passing the soul of education from generation to generation for the sustainability of the society. So that's what I wanted to share with you. Thank you very much for listening to me very, very patiently. May God bless you all. And Meenakshi ji, over to you. If you have a couple of questions, I can take that also.
All right.
Thank you very much. I'm stopping my screen share.
All right.
I'm back
Any
to all of you.
questions, please? Teachers, you may raise your hand.
Cognitive, interpersonal.
These were the answers to CII.
Okay.
And,
so if you have any question, if you don't want to speak, you can write in the chat box.
I heard somebody raising hand from
Yeah,
Burma
please,
School.
please. Who is raising hand? Yeah.
Please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah, you can ask straight away, no problem. All right. If If there is no question, then I'm asking you 3 questions myself. Meenakshi ji, is it okay?
Yes, yes, sir.
All right. Now, whatever I have said and shared, if it is of any use to you, now use the chat box and tell me, has it influenced you in any manner? Please write yes or no. And now you know, write in the manner in which it does not go to the host, it comes to everybody. Has it influenced you in any manner? Yes, certainly. So who is Neha J? Neha J. Can you come, can you unmute yourself, ma'am? Neha J. Neha J.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, yes, sir. Sir, I'm unable to hear you.
No, you have to speak that how has this whole conversation motivated you? And
Sir, it has motivated. Yeah.
Yes.
It
How?
has motivated me in many ways. The way you speak really motivated me. We as a teacher should work as a team.
Okay.
So we should help whenever anybody is in need. And we should definitely inculcate all the values like you have said. Experiential learning should be there, creative thinking should be there, and we should always help our students critically instead of just giving them answers or
Okay.
questions like that.
Fine,
Yeah.
fine.
So,
Dr. Meghna Vig. Dr. Meghna Vig, can you, ma'am, unmute yourself? Dr. Meghna?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon,
Okay.
sir.
Good afternoon. Where are you?
Yes, sir.
All right. Dr. Meghna, yes, I can see you now.
Yes,
You
sir.
have said, yes, sir, especially the long-term mentoring part where we can guide the student. You know, now, Meghna ji, I'm going to ask you a very specific question. When I say that you are influenced, then you are influenced to do. Okay?
Sir, you are muted.
you have to unmute yourself.
Host is muting me. Let me be unmuted, please. Yeah. So, Meghna ji, what action you are going to do because you are influenced?
Sir, I will try to remain in touch with my students beyond the school limitations. Also, try to help them out in the different problems they are facing. Like these days, also in COVID-19 times, we are mentoring the children to be stronger, to be mentally stronger, and
Very good.
So in the same way, I'm going to try to remain in touch with them via different social media means also, otherwise also, because it will give me a feeling of satisfaction that I am beneficial to a student for a long time. That
Okay.
my vision will stay with
So,
my students for a
all
long
of
time.
you, please clap for her without any noise. Very nice. Now, my second question is, please write yes or no if you are inspired. So the first one was influenced. This is inspired. And be ready to answer me why you are inspired and how you are inspired. So let me see. Now people are not writing yes because they are afraid that they will be asked a question. Miss Kanika Sharma, can you unmute yourself, please? Kanika ji?
Very good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, Kanika, yeah, I can see you. Please tell me if you are inspired, tell me how you are inspired first.
Sir, the inspiration has come, to think beyond the limitations. That
Okay.
Most of the time we think in our limited area, and we think that we are mostly thinking the negative parts. But the inspiration, when you you are inspired by somebody, you can be, when you are inspiring all of us, as an
Okay.
art teacher, I could think that how, during this pandemic only, I can connect my children beyond the time with the weavers. I can take them to the folklorists. I can take them to the, to the vast area, vast horizon. Sitting here only, I can connect them beyond my limitation, which maybe I cannot do in our now normal classes. But yes, this is
Okay.
an opportunity where I can, I can introduce them to the world.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you, sir.
Now the last question. Are you intellectually stimulated? Are you intellectually stimulated? Yes or no? Come on, please write. Somebody has, okay. Are you intellectually stimulated? Miss Isha Rani, are you there, ma'am? Isha Rani.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please tell me how
Good
you have
afternoon,
been.
sir.
Yeah, good afternoon. How are you intellectually stimulated? Just elaborate a bit.
Yes, sir. So we are not merely talking about the intelligence part, but I think in terms of influence and inspiration, the first 2 points that we discussed, I think one intelligence that we usually miss out or we do not work upon is emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
I think that is of utmost importance. And I think in order that we inculcate that in our students, we need to first better our teamwork.
Okay.
And I think each one of us need to create that conducive environment in our workplace, easier adjustments and practicing self-awareness and self-control. So I think that is one intelligence that's really important that we all have in us in order to move ahead.
Very good. So thank you, Isha ji. And thank you also. I have asked you 3 questions. If you are influenced, if you are inspired, or if you are intellectually stimulated. So if you are influenced, you have to take action. If you are inspired, you have to develop empathy, feeling for the needs of others. That should also propel you to do something. And to do these things, I think all of us need intellectual stimulation. Then only we will become innovative. So what all actions we have to take? What should be our next plan of action in the classroom? How we are going to interact with them? How we are going to connect with them? How we are going to engage them? How we are going to be an emotional support to them at this difficult juncture, and yet at the same time take care of their future needs and skills that will come from your intellectual stimulation. So that is the whole idea, that these short bursts of interaction, you read a book, or you see a video, or you attend a workshop, the end result of that should be that you should get inspired, you should get intellectually stimulated, and you should get influenced. So if these are true in most of the cases, then I'm very happy that you are a very, very enlightened group of teachers, and future of your children in your hands is absolutely safe. You are prepared to take decisions, you have the grit, you have the emotional intelligence, and you have the kindness to deliver all that you have and be generous to your students. So thank you very much. Thank you, Meenakshi ji. Thank you, Anil ji. God bless you all. That's all from me.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pandey. And you talked about that we being influenced, we being inspired, we being intellectually stimulated. And I think these are the keywords that we need to take on from this session today. And I feel that while you were talking, what I was thinking that it all has to begin from possibly when the child of 3 years old comes to us. And
Yes.
because as we delay this process of everything, you know, being a child being the observer and other things, you know. As we do all this, as we delay this process, the problem is that the child is not able to be benefited. I mean, as we delay, the child gets more time, the child's time gets wasted.
Yeah.
So I think that we all have to start at the very early age, not wait for कि बच्चा senior school में आएगा, then we will ask him, and अभी तो we have to teach him ABCD and moral values and all those things. No, the process has to start from very beginning, because later on, 9th onwards, we have other issues of the CBSE exams, board exams, marks, tuitions, etc. So one takeaway that I was taking, that we have to start influencing right from the beginning. We have to start inspiring the child to be a good learner, be a good observer right from the beginning. And like Isha said, that emotionally stable and feeling of being wanted, good thinker, being able to adapt well to the situation. So all these things have to start from the very beginning. So I think I was inspired to take this on as a holistic approach in my school right from the beginning, rather than waiting for it that let the child grow a little bit and then I will take on. So thank you so much, Dr.
Thank
Pandey.
you.
It was a wonderful session. And like critical thinking, collaboration, creativity, all these have to be started from day one. So that is what I wanted to thank you for. And let's hope that we are soon able to take another session from you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Meenakshi ji. Thanks a lot to
Thank you.
everybody. God bless you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anil ji.
Thank you,
Thanks
sir.
a lot.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.